Very good evening to everyone present here today on the call. I would like to give a short introduction for Dr. Nitin. He is a highly respected physician and a public health specialist. He combines medical expertise with practical wellness guidance. With experience over preventive care, community health, and lifestyle disease management, he simplifies health in a way people can understand and act on immediately. Now, he's also a medical practitioner at Med Life and shares powerful science-backed health insight thought through their platform Med Life, helping thousands build better lives, wellness habits every day. Dr. Nitin, I would request you to, take over and address us.
Yeah, thank you so much for handing over, Sharon. So, good evening, everyone from IMT. I think it's lovely to see. Yeah, there are a lot of people. Love the crowd. Love the energy here. I can see a lot of people, with a ton of highs on the chat. So that's great. So all the people who are excited, please, 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 give me a nice hi and good evening in the chat. Lovely, 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 lovely. Excellent, excellent. So, everyone, I will just give a brief intro about who I am. So, I'm Dr. Nitin. I am the Chief Medical Officer at Medi Life. And I also happen to have done my MBBS. So, I am a general physician. And I completed my Masters of Public Health from University College of London. And I also have a certification in sports nutrition. And I would love to take this opportunity on Universal Health Coverage Day to probably enlighten and spread some basic knowledge, all practical and doable even on busy work days. So what I would do is I would like to keep this pretty interactive. So anyone who has any questions, you can either save it for the Q&A towards the end of the session, or if it's a burning question, as I love to call it, you all can immediately raise your hand or just put it in the chat and we'll try to address it as soon as possible. Yeah. All right. So, good evening, anyways, everyone. Thank you for joining this lovely session. And my aim over here today is to cover some simple science backed steps that you can use to prevent illness, detect problems early, and manage common lifestyle diseases. And believe me, all of these are practical and they're exceptionally doable even on any workday or holiday or wherever you are. Yeah. All right. So here's the plan for the webinar. Yeah. I'm going to give you a very quick context on why prevention matters. Yeah. A snapshot of, how the current health trends are and how these health trends have been for the last 5 years. Yeah. And actionable steps for preventive checkups and everyday habits. Yeah. That are focus tips for conditions like diabetes, hypertension, obesity, and stress. Basically, what your employer can do is probably set up an EAP, that's also known as Employment Assistance Program, and put this on so that it can be helpful for everyone. Yeah. All right. All right. Moving on. So, what is universal health coverage? Yeah. What is universal health coverage? Can anyone over here tell me what the theme is for this year for universal health coverage? Anyone, you can just start speaking on the mic or even put it in the chat. Cover. Okay, Priya Bhansode says covers entire body checkup. Okay, anybody else? What is the theme for this year's Universal Health Coverage Day? Rhythm says lifestyle changes. All right, all right. Anyone else? Healthcare for everyone, giving awareness on health. Okay, all right. So the theme, I think Abhishek is almost very close to what the theme is. Healthcare for everyone, he says. Yes. So the theme for this year's Universal Health Coverage Day is unaffordable healthcare and how to address these issues. It says unaffordable healthcare and we are sick of it. Yeah. So yes, Abhishek is pretty close. Yes, exactly. Yeah, I think nice work. Doing the Google search in the last minute, I guess. All right, all right. So why is healthcare unaffordable? Can anyone enlighten the crowd over here? Why is healthcare so unaffordable in our country, or is it really unaffordable, or is it just merely a thought process that we have set in our minds? Varsha says it has become a business. Okay, okay. Anybody else? Okay. All right. Because of high technology. All right. Okay. 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 I see. So, what I would like to enlighten everyone currently is universal health coverage means that everyone has access to health promotion, prevention, and treatment without any financial strain. Yeah. And there are two things, that is prevention and early detection are the foundation of UHC, that is universal health coverage. So how do you think prevention and early detection is helpful, especially in the corporate workforce? Can anyone speak up? Abhishek says India is relatively affordable, but in general it's because of inflation. Okay, okay. Mhm. Anybody, anybody. How else do you think prevention and early detection matters in the corporate workforce? Okay. Renewal says lack of knowledge. Okay. All right. Chirag says since education at higher cost, so the treatment also. All right. All right. Yeah. Sure. Sure. Sedentary lifestyle. Okay. All right. All right. Once you are into some health issues, it is difficult to analyze and come out. All right. All right. So prevention and early detection, like I mentioned, are the foundation of universal healthcare. Yeah. Because what these do is that they stop small problems from becoming big. Basically, they don't just become big, they can also become very expensive problems. Yeah, like long hospital bills that you don't want. Yeah, issues with your insurance which you definitely don't want. Yeah, so in short, what I'm trying to say is that catching risks early saves lives and reduces healthcare costs for you, not just for you but even for your company. Yeah, because how does this change the scenario? Because what I would like to tell you is that the workplace screening and everyday habit changes matter over here, because these trends not only affect your productivity, absenteeism, but also your long term health. So, if you all agree with me, can I get a yes on the chat here? Perfect, perfect, perfect. This sounds great. This sounds great. I'm just thanking my stars that everyone's just listening to me. Thank you so much, guys. Okay, so I'll just give you a very quick reality check on how our NCDs, also known as non communicable diseases like diabetes, heart disease, hypertension, and obesity, are rising worldwide and especially in India. So, as we all know, that US is absolutely, undoubtedly, unabashedly the leading market when it comes to prescribed medications for diabetes, hypertension, and heart related issues. But the sad news is that we are not far behind. Yep. So just to give you all a picture, I'll give you all some statistics over here. So Apollo had conducted a research. This was in 2024. Yeah, and you all can access it online. It was called the Health of Nation report. Yeah, and this Health of the Nation report, what it did was it analyzed around 4.5 lakh individuals annual checkups basically, and this found 23% of adults screened were diabetic. 23% is an alarming rate, friends. And the corporate wellness data echoed the exact same trend. There was another famous very well known healthcare company that did an employee health analysis in between 2023 and 2024. That was August 23 and July 24, and they found 7.9% of the staff screened were diabetic. And the worst part is that these numbers had risen to a staggering 8.85% between August 24 and July 25. So you can see how the numbers are rising, and without actually any known causes. And not to mention, 19 to 24% other than these were also pre-diabetic. Yeah. So these figures imply an increasing prevalence of diabetes and pre-diabetes among employees over the past few years. So you can imagine how this trend is increasing. And in the next 5 years, if actionable steps are not taken, these numbers are just going to rise. And that's not good news at all. Is it? Do you all agree with me, people? Can I get a yes again in the chat? Anu Rishi Chavan says, please, Marathi. I apologize, Anu Rishi. I was strictly instructed, in previously that this webinar was to be conducted in English, so I am going to continue that way. Apologies.
Dr. Nitin, you
Yeah.
can translate a few things in Hindi, but you'll have to repeat it in English because we have people from all over India. Anuj,
Okay.
some important points can be repeated in Hindi, but we cannot have this webinar in Hindi because uh, employees all over India are participating.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
is
Yeah. I
not
agree.
known to them.
Sure, sure, sure. So I would just request everyone, whichever part you would want me to just simplify or reiterate in Hindi, please put that in the chat, and I'll do that immediately. Yep. All right. All right. All right. All right. Perfect. So since we are talking about diabetes, can anyone over here tell me what is the leading cause of diabetes in the country? There are multiple causes, but what is the leading cause of diabetes in our country, in India? Okay, please talk to me in Hindi. Huh? Hmm. Daily routine. Okay.
क्वेश्चन ये है गाइस कि विच डॉक्टर नितिन हैज ऑलरेडी सेड क्वेश्चन ये है जिनको हिंदी में चाहिए कि डायबिटीज आपके हिसाब से किस वजह से होती है मेन
हमारे
कारण क्या
देश में हमारे देश में डायबिटीज डायबिटीज का सबसे उच्च यानी कि सबसे बड़ा कारण क्या है जिसके वजह से लोग डायबिटिक होते हैं? Less sleeping hours, stress, sugar, lack of physical activity, stress and food habits, hereditary lifestyle, cold drink, okay, high carb diet that Abhishek said, okay, lovely, lovely, lovely. I'm loving the response over here. I think the environment is absolutely electric. Perfect. Lack of proper food. All right, all right. So, the leading cause of diabetes in our country is basically our basic Indian diet. That is extremely high in carbohydrates and especially in simple carbohydrates. So, when I say that somebody is a diabetic, all right, so as per you guys, yeah, what should be the ideal range of each person's sugar levels, yeah, for a person to be called a diabetic? You can give me an upper and lower range, whatever is knowledgeable. Okay, Priya says 140, 140. Okay, more than 110. Pranjal says more than 110. All right, all right. Is it safe to say? Is it safe to say that Priya and Pranjal both are correct in their own ways? Because more than 110 would be for fasting, and Priya says 140, which is for random blood sugar. All right. Ilan Govai says more than 120 in fasting. Ideally, more than 100 in fasting. But all right, perfect. Preetham says 180. Okay, 180. I would say that that would be extremely diabetic, overtly diabetic. In yeah, Sunita says 200 plus. That falls under the range of uncontrolled diabetes, as you all know, and most likely that would require insulin, especially considering the HbA1c. So moving on. How many of y'all are aware of what is HbA1c? Indian food we've been eating for many years. Why now it's affecting? Perfect, perfect. All right. I would like to answer this question from Mr. MK. Yeah, M. Kambar. Indian food we've been eating for so many years. Why is it now affecting? So, the answer to this question is primarily because we do not process simple carbohydrates the way our body is used to. There have been a lot of genetic changes that have happened, in the Indian genetic diaspora over, a very long time. Also, you know, the kind of food that Indians were consuming around 30 to 50 years ago and what we are consuming currently are different. The way it is processed, the way it's marketed, and especially the way it is cooked. Yeah. Yes, and someone has said 3 months average level sugar over 3 months. This is for HbA1c. Perfect. Cause of diabetes is inflammation. Okay, okay. I see, I see, I see. By the way, thank you everyone. I think I'm loving the way you guys are taking this and responding, on the chat. So yes, HbA1c is an average sugar level over 3 months, and ideally for a non-diabetic, the HbA1c should be a little under 5.7, I would say, and anything above 6.4 would definitely put you in the diabetic range. Because as I'm sure, I think multiple attendees over here, how many of y'all know people who are diabetic in your immediate family or friends? Can I have me in the chat? Whichever of y'all know diabetics. All right, Pranjal, Sunita, Priya, Rama, Renal. Oh, Renal, your grandmother. All right, all right. And Renal, your grandmother, is she on oral anti-diabetics or is she only on insulin? Priya says my father. All right, all right. Okay, she's on oral meds. All right. Pranjal says 15 years diabetic, my mother. So nice to know that all of you all are forthcoming about this. So what was the cause that your family doctor or your diabetologist have given you for this, as to why your parents or your grandparents actually got diabetic, and the fact that they have to be put on medication? Anyone? You all can just put it in the chat. My mother 6 years
जिनको
old.
सवाल नहीं समझ में आया हो, डॉक्टर नितिन बस पूछ रहे हैं कि आपके घर में आपको क्यों लग रहा है कि किसी को डायबिटीज है, तो उसका कारण क्या है। और उससे पहले उन्होंने बताया था कि हमारी इंडियन डाइट क्योंकि लो सिंपल कार्बोहाइड्रेट में रिच है, उसकी वजह से है। कुछ चीजें जो इंपॉर्टेंट होंगी हम रिपीट कर सकते हैं हिंदी में, बट क्योंकि काफी लोग साउथ इंडिया से भी ज्वाइन कर रहे हैं हमारा वेबिनार जहाँ हिंदी पॉपुलर नहीं है, इसलिए वी
Hmm.
आर डूइंग इट इंग्लिश सो दैट मेजोरिटी पीपल कैन अंडरस्टैंड। जो चीजें इंपॉर्टेंट है हम वो रिपीट कर सकते हैं, बट पूरा वेबिनार करना मुश्किल होगा।
ओके, सो आपके आपके जिनके भी घर पे लोग डायबिटिक हैं, तो this is hereditary as my grandfather was having, so my father got, and now me and my brother. Yes, ये भी है. So multiple causes, like I said, high carb diet है, yeah, and hereditary is Because if your parents have had it, if your grandparents have had it, आपके माता पिता दादा दादी जिनको भी था, ये फैमिली रिस्क फैक्टर बन जाता है. This increases your risk. You become predisposed to getting increased sugar levels and diabetes. Yes, agreed. But what I want to ask everyone here is, what is the right way? What is really the right way to approach this condition? Is it to say that, okay, now I'm a diabetic, so I have to get on medications? Or is it to address the root cause of what has caused diabetes? मेरा कहने का ये मतलब है कि क्या आपको एक बार पता चल गया है कि आप डायबिटिक हो तो इसके लिए बस दवा लेना जरूरी है, या इसका इसका जो मूल कारण है, इस मूल कारण को आप पहले पता लगाएं और फिर उसे उसका इलाज करें. Okay, hereditary, balanced diet, cut the sugar. All right. Both has to be taken care, medications have to be taken, and root cause also has to be addressed. Yes. Yes, it is important to get the root cause, find out the root cause, and look for solution. Yes, 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 yes. Yes, that's perfect. So, the root cause for us is mainly how our diet works. So, can anybody tell me, like I mentioned, so what happens is with our Indian diet, like I mentioned earlier, simple carbohydrates are the leading cause for diabetes. So, what I would like to ask you all is that which carbohydrate, according to you all, is the most dangerous carbohydrate in our Indian diet or in any kind of diet at all? हमारे खाने में सबसे खतरनाक rice, maida, rice and wheat. Okay, wheat. Okay. Anybody else? I see a lot of rice and maida here. Sunil says processed food. Rice, potato. Okay. All right. Oil. Okay. Maida, junk food. Chinese food. Okay. Wow. अनुरुचि says नमक. हाँ नमक है, बट नमक का ज्यादा हाइपरटेंशन की ओर जाता है. Processed food, namkeen. Okay, lovely, lovely, lovely. Lovely to see the responses. But, I mean, it's great. It's great. Oh, pani puri. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Sugar. Okay. Not to eat heavy food at a time. Okay, fine. All right. This is great, guys. This is great. I wouldn't say any response over here is incorrect. All of them are correct. But the most dangerous carbohydrate is not rice or bread or even sugar. It is something very commonly used, and it's called cornstarch. How many of y'all are aware of cornstarch? क्या कोई मुझे बता सकता है कि ये कॉर्न स्टार्च जो है कहाँ कहाँ इस्तेमाल होता है? Where is this used? Chicken 65. All right. Chinese. Anywhere else? Biscuits. Okay. What about bakery products? What about your everyday soups? All of these include cornstarch, and unfortunately, it is consumed in a volume that we have no idea about. So, what cornstarch does is it not only spikes your blood sugar level, which what your body does at that time is that it increases an insulin response, which is not good news. And there have been cases where prolonged use of cornstarch, where with soups and junk food and bakery products, etc., people have also reported gut issues, joint inflammation, and also fatty liver. So you can see how one little thing, and cornstarch is relatively cheap. It's the cheapest filler used in the market to make your food tasty and appetizing. Yeah, but you can see how it has caused not just a spike in your insulin levels, but also gut issues, joint inflammation, and fatty liver. So what it's doing is it's causing a multifaceted issue for the human body. Other than that, yes, all the people who mentioned rice, I would say yes. White rice, again, simple carbohydrate, bread, maida. So that's a problem. Sugar, yes. All processed sugar is not good at all. And I think the main problem over here for us Indians is that we have not learned, or nobody, I would say, nobody has taught us the art of reading a nutrition label. So, how many of y'all consume no sugar or low sugar products? Can anybody, can people give me examples in the chat for no sugar and low sugar products here?
Also, doctor, someone has asked, is cornstarch same as corn flour,
I would, okay, hold on. Is it corn flour? Well, it is a derivative, I would say.
but not exactly the same in
Not exactly the
terms of
same.
impact?
Impact is more or less the same, but it's a derivative. So yeah, I think that's one of the reasons why I mentioned, corn flour, cornstarch, anything. See, what these things do is basically they will just spike your blood insulin, which is not good news at all. I hope that answers the root of this question. They say zero Coke has no added sugar. Zero Coke, okay. Since Pranjal has addressed this question, I'll just give it to you straight. Zero Coke is worse than normal Coke. Yeah. You can actually go ahead and have a normal Coke if you want instead of having a zero Coke because they use additives. Please read the label of zero Coke next time as well. Is Ajinomoto. Ajinomoto is a derivative of cornstarch. Go zero ice cream with zero sugar and have stevia. Dark chocolates. Oh, okay. I see a lot of interesting things here. But yes, let me address dark chocolates first that Abhishek has asked. So, dark chocolates definitely, I think one of the biggest scams running around in our country currently, because I don't know how many of you all have actually had, dark chocolate. And by that, I mean 99% dark chocolate, which is absolutely bitter. I think it's even more bitter than a bitter gourd. बिटर गार्ड जिन्हें समझ में नहीं आया करेले से भी कड़वा होता है डार्क चॉकलेट असली वाला बट हाउ डार्क चॉकलेट इज मार्केटेड इन आवर कंट्री is they say 50%, 70%, 40% and all of that, but all of them have added sugar, all of them. And please watch out for this particular ingredient, wherever they say no sugar or no additives and all of that. If there is something known as maltodextrin, that is a problem because that is an additive which is going to invariably spike the insulin in your blood. Maltodextrin, please do a very small research. It's a very big topic to be covered, so unfortunately I won't be able to cover that over here in this situation, in this session. But anybody who's interested to know about this can contact me after this session's done. Can you tell us a roadmap to be healthy? I mean, how to be aware of food we're consuming? Can you please recommend? Okay, coffee and tea are more harmful with sugar adulterated. Okay. Maltodextrin check in labels to avoid. Food is not the only culprit. Less sleep and high stress work, yes, result in high cortisol levels. I agree. And high cortisol, by the way. So can anybody highlight what cortisol is exactly? Because I love how somebody has highlighted as high cortisol. What exactly is cortisol? Abhishek is correct. Cortisol is also known as our stress hormone. Wanted a clarification. Can we use sugar free pills, sugar free powder on a daily basis? All right, all right. Lovely questions. I would address all these questions towards the end. If there are any unaddressed questions towards the end, please give me a reminder about this. Yeah. Is it really okay to drink coffee without sugar? Yes, you can absolutely do that.
I would
And
also remind people to add questions in Q&A so that it's easier to take them up in at the end Q&A section. You can see at the bottom where you can ask your questions anonymously also if you don't want to share your name.
okay, all I already have something over there.
You
Kindly
can,
explain about the
Dr.
headaches,
Nitin can
acidity,
explain.
fatigue, poor sleep, and stress. Yes, yes, Mr. Baswaraj, I'll be getting to that pretty soon. Pretty soon. Does meat lead to diabetes? Black tea, black coffee? How about it? Okay, perfect. So Black coffee, excellent option. Black tea, excellent option. This is not only going to help your liver, but yes, it's not going to cause any kind of spike in your blood sugar. So yeah, safe to go. Meat, not exactly. Meat does not lead to diabetes, but yes, processed red meat definitely does lead to high blood pressure, also known as hypertension, and also elevated lipid profiles, both of which increase your risk of cardiovascular diseases. So this was my answer to Sunil's question. Yep. Thank you, Prince. Thank you for this lovely compliment. Yep. So I will just give you all a gist. Now, since diabetes is partly covered, but there is also another condition that is, let's say, very much relevant and also correlates with this condition. In India, let's just say how people put it in Hindi. Diabetes अगर है तो ये तो साथ में होगा ही. What is this ये? Which is this other condition that I'm talking about? Yes. Hypertension, BP, eyesight weakness, obesity. All right. Obesity, I would say, is a byproduct of both. But yes, BP. Perfect. All you guys are correct. All you guys are correct. So, since I've given you all a little bit of data on diabetics, let me just put the hypertensive data in perspective as well. Yeah. So just like Apollo had screened for diabetes, they had also screened for hypertension. Yeah. And what they realized is that there were 26% of individuals who were found hypertensive. Yeah. And last year, ICICI Lombard also conducted a wellness survey, which also noted the exact same figure. And I'll give you a real shocker. So, together, when this data was checked, it actually showed that one in every four corporate aged adults have hypertension. How many of you all actually believe this? One in four corporate age adults actually have hypertension. What do you people think could be the reason for these conditions? Stress. Okay, I get a lot of acidity. Mobile usage, unmanaged stress. All right. Unmanaged stress is great. Bad lifestyle. Okay. Office atmosphere, stress, sleep. What about bad food? Increased processed red meat. Food that has a lot of salt, high salt intake, increased carbohydrates. Having diabetes again. Remember, having diabetes again predisposes you to the risk of getting hypertension and vice versa. If you're diagnosed with hypertension, you automatically have an increased risk of getting diabetes as well. Intake of coffee constantly. Do you recommend brown sugar over normal sugar? Okay, intake of coffee, that depends the kind of coffee you're consuming. If you're adulterating it with a ton of milk and sugar, then yes, that's a problem. But black coffee, 2 cups a day should not be an issue at all. Priya? Pranjal asks, do you recommend brown sugar over normal sugar? I would say I wouldn't recommend any form of sugar at all. In fact, I would also stay away from jaggery because there are a lot of processed and sugary jaggery brands and adulteration in the market currently. So I would stay away from that as well. I would suggest stevia instead. I don't know how many of you all have heard of this. So stevia is basically a leaf, so you can consume it either in powder form or the raw form. I feel which is the safest of all. ओके अनुऋषि, अगर आपको ये जानना था तो मैं बता रहा हूँ कि शक्कर जो होता है, शक्कर किसी भी फॉर्म में मैं सजेस्ट नहीं करता, चाहे वो व्हाइट शुगर हो या ब्राउन शुगर हो। स्टीविया के नाम से, स्टीविया को आई थिंक हिंदी में मीठी तुलसी बोली जाती है। एंड इसका एक पत्ता आता है, उस पत्ते को या फिर उसका पाउडर भी बनता है, इसे आप इस्तेमाल कर सकते हैं खाना बनाने में या इवन चाय कॉफी बनाने में। स्टीविया इज नॉट सो गुड इन टेस्ट, but so is sugar free. And sugar free, again, is extremely bad for health, guys. So sugar free, as most of you all might be knowing, the compound in sugar free is called aspartame, and the continuous use of that product, particularly that compound, can cause hypertension. So you know how this entire industry has marketed something that not only puts you at a risk of developing two conditions at the same time. दो conditions आपको एक ही time पे हो सकते हैं, that will not only put your life at risk but also puts you on an increased risk of getting medications for lifetime. Is stevia not adulterated in the market? No, not from what I can see, at least as of now, because I've been using stevia leaves for a very long time, and touch wood, no issues there with my sugar, at least as of now. Okay, as of now, I'm not having diabetes and BP, so what care should I take? Okay, potatoes are very common in the Indian diet. Potatoes, yes, absolutely. Like I said, simple carbs are the leading cause for the diabetes in the country. So, yes, Pranjal, potatoes do because it's a form of simple carbohydrate, just like rice. Anything that goes into your body and the uptake is very quick, बहुत ही जल्दी हमारी बॉडी खींच लेती है, इसको डाइजेस्ट कर लेती है. So, diabetes, hypertension, and the other the other entity, the other entity that in my opinion, or the way I like to call it, the unholy trio of cardiovascular risk, which is the third issue over here that adds to diabetes and hypertension, that increases your risk of overall poor health and cardiovascular diseases. We have covered two already. Which is the third one, guys? Thyroid, obesity. Better suggest list of food to not eat strongly. Yes, I will suggest once we complete the trio. Obesity, lack of exercise. Okay, all great, all great. But there is a third condition. Stress. Okay. Fatty liver. Okay. How about elevated cholesterol? There. Tanya says cholesterol. There. Now, elevated cholesterol, lipid profile, especially triglyceride. So this, in my opinion, forms the unholy trio of poor health and increased cardiovascular stress. And like I mentioned, the earlier screening data for diabetes and hypertension, and when the same was done for lipid profile, or what we call in medical terms as dyslipidemia, the report found that about 45% of employees had high triglycerides. 45%. That is a staggering number, guys. And 30% of those have an overall unhealthy total lipid ratio. And what was even more shocking is that among these, there were about 65% with fatty liver. Now, how alarming is that? As a vegetarian, why triglycerides are always in elevated levels? Okay, I will come to that later. I will come to that later, definitely. All right. So, can I have a few answers as to what possibly leads to elevated cholesterol in our blood? What is the most common blood test that covers most parameters? All right, Pranjal. I am coming to that towards the end. Okay, oily food, odd food time habits, oily food. Okay, processed food. All right. Perfect, 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 perfect. That's all correct. That is all correct. Refined oil. Oh yes. So, like I mentioned, this becomes the unholy trio. Now, do we need different kinds of diets to actually control all these conditions? Because these are three different conditions, but all these three conditions invariably lead to one common condition, that is overall poor health and increase cardiovascular risk. So, how many of you all actually think that we need different kinds of diets and foods to control this? Do we really need to do that? Can I have this a yes or a no in the chat? Okay, Priya says yes. Anurishi says okay. Poor sleep kaha hai aapne? All right. This is a very interesting question. Does cold pressed oil or wood pressed oil help to our health? Yes, it does. Palm oil is very cheap and very frequently used in processed food. Excellent. So, like I was saying, you do not need different types of diets to control all the three. Yeah. Because let's just start from the beginning. How we start with diabetes. Diabetes, simple carbohydrates. Yeah. Somebody said elevated salt. The same went for high blood pressure, that's hypertension. Yeah. Increased salt, stress, poor sleep, triglycerides, cholesterol. Again, oily food, lack of sleep, stress, frequency of food, odd timings, not a balanced diet. So, can you guys see how all these causes are common for all the three conditions? Can I get a yes in the chat for this? All right, Priya, HR, Preetham, all right. So, like someone earlier asked, please suggest a strong list of foods that can be avoided over here. So, as from what I know about nutrition, I can suggest that simple carbohydrates are something that must be avoided at all costs. Now, for a lot of South Indians, I have seen that avoiding rice becomes an issue because rice is a staple, in the South Indian diet. Myself being a South Indian, I know how hard it is for people. Fortunately, I am not predisposed to issues with rice, so great. But yes, simple carbohydrates like rice, processed sugar mainly, simple as in your normal potatoes, yeah, bakery items, like I mentioned about cornstarch earlier. So you need to completely avoid or at least limit the consumption of these items because completely avoiding I believe that is not possible for majority of our crowd because there'll always be another party, there will always be another birthday, there will always be another festival, and all these things can't be avoided because ultimately I would say variety is as the spice of life, or in this case the sweet of life. So yes, we cannot avoid all these completely, but the idea over here is moderation, is to reduce the consumption of these items on a daily basis. Because in a week, if you consume this as a part of your meal every single day, this is invariably going to make changes in your blood and one after the other. And it does not happen overnight, as we all know. But in a matter of a few months, you might have elevated blood pressure. You might see that your fasting blood sugar is spiked to about 130, 140, and your triglycerides are all over the place. So, to avoid this, like I mentioned, these are the food items that you need to avoid. High salt, red meat that is processed, because red meat contributes to high triglycerides because they are extremely high in fat. Soups are great, but as long as the soups are homemade soups are excellent. Non-vegetarian food is great. No, the problem is not with non-vegetarian food, it's about how you prepare the non-vegetarian food. Baked non-vegetarian food, great. Fried non-vegetarian food, again, increases the risk. So I hope, can anyone see the difference between baked food and fried food? Can I have a yes in the chat? We'll be getting recording of this session. I think Pranjal, you would have to ask.
Yes, you would be getting the recording. It will be uploaded on IMT Care's YouTube channel.
Red meat means mutton. Yes, 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 Kishore. Yes, that's right. There, I think you have the link shared as well. Yes, Pranjal, that's right. Baked is absolutely oil free. So, according to you all, if I had to cook something, without using oil, what would be the healthier alternative for that? Can anyone give me an answer? Air fryer, steam, wow. Air fryer, lovely. Ghee, backed food, okay. Shirag, backed food, okay, not sure. You're welcome, Atul. Air fryers, all right. Air fryers are excellent. Air fryers are great. But what about people who can't afford air fryers, who do not want to invest that time? Ghee over butter, Pranal says yes, excellent. Ghee, my dear friends, is an excellent option. Is an excellent option, and I can vouch for this because I use about 1 tablespoon of ghee to make some of my meals for the entire day. And believe me, ghee, it's great because it's good in good cholesterol, also known as HDL cholesterol. How many of you all have read this particular parameter in your reports? HDL cholesterol. Ghee is good up to what age? Age is just a number, Kishore. You can consume ghee because ultimately it's not about, you won't be consuming 1 kilo of ghee a day, right? Like I mentioned, it's about 2 tablespoons. That would roughly add up to around 10 to 20 grams of ghee a day, which is great. Food wisdom existed in the way our grandparents ate and lived well. Problem is only on unbalanced diet, no portion control, and high stress in which we live today. Yes, the unbalanced diet mainly because what happens, completely understand with the corporate workforce. You all are constantly meeting tight schedules, deadlines. So, lack of sleep, a lot of stress, get back late, and no early morning meals. I think the reason a lot of these street side vendors are profiting in the morning with their pohas and their idlis are because most people do not get the time to make meals at home or have their breakfast on time. And I think this is the leading cause. Yeah, HDL is there in walnuts, almonds, and omega 3 and 7. Okay, in flax seeds and cod liver fish oil. Yes, yes, Mansi, that's absolutely right. And omega 3 supplementation is great for whoever is comfortable with that because omega 3 supplementation is excellent for heart health. If anybody wants to know, walnuts, almonds, any kind of dry fruits, I would say when you consume dry fruits, you can open your fist out, just a fistful of dry fruits. And if you'll have a food scale, you'll can even measure that. It would roughly add up to around 20 to 25 grams of dry fruits a day, and I think it's amazing. It's perfect because fats are not our enemy. What we need to understand is that there is a difference between good fat and bad fat. So the good fat we get from ghee, dry fruits, fish mainly, and the bad fat from processed oil mainly. Does cheese and Amul butter, milk affect in our diet for diabetic person? Coconut is okay. Coconut's fine. Coconut's good. Not a problem there. Cheese and Amul butter, yes, it does. But for diabetic, yes, you probably have to consume the. I think Amul also has a white butter option, if I'm not wrong. Unsalted butter, they call it. So I think that option would be much better for consumption. Veg meals lack B12 and vitamin D deficiency is common in non-vegetarians. Mansi, that's correct. But also, I'll give you a fun fact over here. 90% of Indians are deficient in vitamin D. 90% of Indians are deficient in vitamin D. How much fruits contribute in sugar spikes? Okay, so since the since this question has been asked by Pranjal, how much fruits contribute? So in fruits, so let me just give you all a gist about how the blood sugar spike works. Yeah. So there is something known as low glycemic index and high glycemic index food. So a high glycemic index food is particularly a kind of food that spikes the insulin in your blood immediately. And when it comes to fruits, they are fruits like banana, mango, chiku, even grapes up to an extent, I would say. But other fruits like watermelon, pineapple, pears, dragon fruits, apples, are excellent options, and they do not contribute to blood sugar spikes at all. A good source of B12 for vegetarians. Okay. Hmm. That would entirely depend on your overall diet, and I think your B12 levels. Pomegranate, excellent. Pomegranate also has increases nitric oxide, so excellent for increased blood flow.
Dr. Nitin, there are some questions in Q&A as well. Do you want me to read them to you?
I am reading them. I have about 7 questions there, which I will one by one. I'll just address that towards the end.
Oh, works.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Welcome. Pomegranate. Okay, I just mentioned that. Any particular ghee recommended, like cow ghee or buffalo ghee? I think cow ghee works great. Cow ghee works great, and any form of cow ghee is great. You do not have to particularly fall for this whole A2 ghee scam that is happening these days. Yeah. Okay. Now that we have covered, these three, the unholy trio, the fourth most important thing I believe that our, Indian workforce is facing is stress and lack of sleep. Ideally, according to, our lovely crowd here, how many hours of sleep is essential for the human body? Good sleep, okay, 7 6, 6 to 8, 8, okay, 8.5, okay. I see a lot of numbers here. 8.5, 6 to 7, okay. Thank you, Pranjal. Thank you so much. For each, it differs on weekends, full day. Oh, wow, lovely. All right, all right. So the ideal amount of sleep that we need is close to 7 to 8 hours. 7 to 8 hours is excellent, and 7 to 8 hours of sleep at the right time, it not only contributes to better metabolism, which helps with digestion. Lack of sleep will result in increased stress as we all face it anyway. And I think these are two such factors that our Indian workforce is facing. It's the kind of problem that I would say is it was unseen for the past few years, and now I think people are starting to notice it. And I think this is a root problem that needs to be addressed. Not only through sessions like this, but also via EAPs, like I mentioned earlier, employment assistance programs. Sharon, I'm not sure. Do you all have, an EAP set up with in IMT?
Dr. Nitin, I believe. Sharon, are you there?
Yeah, Vartika, I'm there.
Yeah, you can take over. Thank you.
Uh, Dr. Nitin, I'm not sure. I will just check while you're on call. I'll get back on this.
Okay, okay.
Okay, on behalf of Sharon, Dr. Nitin, IMT, all the companies associated with IMT Care do get employee benefits. Even like with this webinar, we are providing like discounted health checkups, medicines, and all their plans are available on their app. So every company has different plans
Mhm.
as per the portal they choose, but everyone gets like even the wellness session, it's free for others. So everyone
Mhm.
here has not paid to join and it's open. So we also do like bi-monthly wellness sessions, and there are some other offers which are keep on going. Promotion of these offers are up to the HRs, even HRs who ask us or their insurance partner to have a exclusive event for them in their office. That also is something we do arrange.
Okay.
So
Okay.
they do have a plan.
Perfect. 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 That sounds great. That sounds great. Thank you for letting me know.
I
All
think
right.
that answers your question.
Yeah, yeah, it does. Thanks.
Thanks.
So, everyone, I would like to ask everyone this question. When you say stress, what exactly is stress? Because there's stress in personal life, there's stress, with work life, but what exactly is stress? Can, people give me certain examples of stressful situations? Overthinking. Okay. Anything else? Work. All right. I have two answers here. Anything else? Aggressiveness. Suvarna says aggressiveness. Okay. Thinking about only the issue rather than taking action, not having control over your life. Okay. All right. All right. All right. Afraid of something. Stress is manufactured in ourselves. This is very interesting. Body's natural reaction to pressure, demands, or a challenging situation. Yes, this is also correct. Constant interruptions. So, perfect, guys. Perfect, 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 perfect. I think a huge round of applause to all of you for answering this correctly. All of these are absolute, answers to what actually stress is. But, but, most importantly, how many times do we actually sit and analyze if the situation, what we are calling or what we are imagining, as stress, is it something that is actually there in front of us, or is 90% of it just a reaction and of something that we have constantly manufactured in our head? And this kind of stress especially is related to the kind of stress that we face at work. How many of y'all think that the thoughts that most of us go through, with work stress, is absolutely real and not something that's just in our own head? Can I have answers to this in the chat? Priya says yes, it's most of the time what we just think. Okay, anybody else? But in actual it's not there. All right. Thinking and not taking action. Okay. How many times and how many of you all, whenever faced with a stressful situation, have actually tried writing down one by one the reasons or whatever is your stress point, the cause of your stress? How many of you all have actually tried writing this down, on a piece of paper? Anybody who's actually done this, please put a yes in the chat. No. From the looks of it, no one actually does that. But I would like to tell you all that this is one of the proven methods for people to handle stress. Among other methods, this is one of the proven methods. So, what we do here is, when you face a situation like this, what most of us do, for example, I'll give you a lovely example. Yeah, I have a presentation tomorrow, and somewhere I am done with things of it partly, and some of them I probably, I feel like, okay, I can do this better or not. But for tomorrow, I have already made this up in my mind. Oh, tomorrow's session is going to be horrible. I don't know how I'm going to present this. I don't know how this is going to look. I think it's going to be a total mess. Now you see, the event has not happened at all, and here I have already built up, an entire scenario in my head, which has led to unnecessary stress. And this is exactly what happens with majority of our workforce, in our country. They face deadlines, so they feel, okay, how am I going to do this? This is not going to happen. I think what is important is that you find the cause for the stress, whether it's something that's actually there or is it just a figment of your imagination. You write it down. You write it down, okay, this is the cause for my stress. And then you believe, okay, I have done this before and I will do this now and I will get through this again. That is the first step towards addressing your stress. You feel, okay, this is something that I need to do. So, can I get through this alone or do I need to ask for help? And wherever you need to ask for help, you just do it. Be it help from your colleagues, or if there is a multifaceted stress issue that you're facing at work and from home and probably family, friends, or whatever, and if you feel that professional help is required, then that is where you head to. Coming to professional help, I would say unfortunately in our country, uh, therapy for stress is still a topic, a taboo topic, if I'm not wrong. I think it's stigmatized in ways that we are not supposed to. Yeah, I think frankly putting it, people say, "Oh, you need therapy for stress." Oh God, I think he or she is mad. Or in Hindi they say, "अरे ये तो पागल है, इसको क्या है?" I think these are the issues that unfortunately deter a lot of people from actually seeking out help. So I would suggest that please do not do this. Whenever somebody approaches you, with a genuine issue as to why they need so much help, please, 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 you know push them to get actual help, or at least help them in every way you can. This is one of the methods that I just highlighted, of writing down the issue, rationalizing it and splitting it into issues that can be addressed, and other mindful techniques for handling stress. How many of you all are aware of mindful techniques of handling stress? Can people give me any examples in the chat, or at least give me a yes or no? Okay. Anybody else? Any other examples for mindfulness handling techniques of stress? How many of you all have actually heard of slow breathing techniques for handling stress? Preetham says yoga, okay. Meditation, okay. Preetham is right. Yes, yoga definitely one of the ways. Box breathing, excellent. Priya says just breathe in and out. Okay, I see. I am breathing in and out right now as well. All right. Yoga, box breathing, deep breathing. So, music. Okay, music. Yes. Okay. Deep. Yeah. Got it. Got it. Deep breathing. Perfect. 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 So yes, these definitely are techniques, and I'm glad. Music 4-4-4 pattern breathing, Pramod. Excellent. This is lovely to see that so many of you all are actually aware of these techniques. Perfect, 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 perfect. So, in any of y'all who are, interested in, getting a small cheat sheet of how to handle stress, you all can reach out to your, HRs, and I think the HRs will let me know, and I will, hand over that PDF, to your HRs so that all of you all can use that. Vardika, I hope that's okay.
Yeah, Dr. Nitin, you can share that over email to me,
Yeah,
and I'll email it to every participant. Okay.
sure,
Everyone who has attended, we have the emails, so we can bulk email them along with the feedback form. If
sure.
that works, or if you want something else, we can also do that.
No, 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 no. That's fine. That's fine. I'll just share the PDF over mail. No
Okay.
issues there.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So now that this is done, how many of you all can name three common cancers in the country? Three common cancers in the country that Indians face and can be actually prevented with early screening? Priya says breast cancer. Anybody else? Blood and breast. Okay. Anything else? Mouth. Carnival cancer. Priya, I believe you're trying to say cervical cancer, is it? Okay. Colon cancer. Excellent. Excellent. Okay. Prostate, lung cancer. Okay, okay. And can anybody give me an example of how would you actually screen for prostate cancer? All right, all right. So the leading cancer in Indian women, especially, is cervical cancer. And greatest problem area in working women is a complete upsetting of the hormone profile. Okay, I think I'll have to agree with Mansi on this one. And yeah, Mansi, in case you need to discuss this, you can get in touch, with me personally later on. Yeah, I think we can have an interesting discussion on this. So, like I was saying, the leading cancer in Indian women, one of the leading cancers in Indian women is cervical cancer. Can anybody give me the cause? What is the cause for cervical cancer? The leading cause for cervical cancer? Anyone? White discharge? No, but the leading cause, Priya, the leading cause. Okay, so the leading, yes, Ravi, that's right. HPV, also known as human papilloma virus. That's correct. Now, who should get screened over here? Women between 30 to 65 years definitely need screening. A pap smear, the easiest way to get screened. A pap smear every 3 years will definitely keep you safe. Other than that, you can go for the HPV test as well. That can be done every 5 years. Yeah. How many of y'all were actually aware of the pap smear screening? No? Wait, no one is aware of pap smear screening, is it? Can I get a yes or a no in the chat? Okay, Priya, you are not aware. Okay. Suvarna says yes, Rama says no, Ansi says yes. I am aware. Okay, I guess doesn't count. Yeah, I guess does not count. No, okay, I see. All right. So I think Priya, that's great. Now that you know that pap smear is the easiest way to screen for cervical cancer. Now moving on to the main causes. So human papilloma virus or HPV infection mainly spreads through sexual contact. So early sexual activity, or let's just say an early sexual debut, as they like to call it, multiple sexual partners, smoking, and a weak immune system that you would generally find in long-term illnesses like HIV and lupus. So these are the common conditions. These are the common factors that lead to cervical cancer. The common causes. as I would like to say. Yeah. Now, how can you prevent cervical cancer? How many of y'all are aware that there is an HPV vaccine for girls aged between 9 to 14 years? Were you all aware of this? That there is a vaccine for cervical cancer in the country? Yes, 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 yes. That's right. That's right. Absolutely right. So, some of the approved vaccines in the country, yeah, are Cervavac. Yeah. So, Cervavac is a vaccine that is made by the Serum Institute of India. Now, human papilloma virus has a lot of types. Yeah. And what Cervavac does is that it covers four major types. It's what we call a quadrivalent vaccine. Yeah. And it's approved and it's also become widely available. And this vaccine is being included in government programs as well. The other one is Gardasil. Gardasil also happens to be a quadrivalent vaccine. Yeah, this is an international vaccine, however, not manufactured here. And Gardasil 9. I don't know how many of you all are aware of Gardasil 9. So Gardasil 9 protects against 9 different types of HPV viruses over here. So what Gardasil 9 does, it offers a very broad protection against cervical and not only cervical cancer but other HPV related cancers. Yeah. And the most important is cervix. So, cervix covers two very rare and common high risk cancer causing types that are type 16 and 18. Yeah. How many of y'all were aware of these vaccines? And can I get a yes from anyone in the group who has probably already gotten an HPV vaccine done? Is there no one? No one in the group? Okay, okay, all right, all right. So I think along with the cheat sheet for stress, I guess I'll also give you, a PDF with the schedules, the dosing schedules for these vaccines, because all of y'all can still get screened and get yourselves vaccinated as well. And also remember, getting vaccinated does not mean that you do not need to screen yourself. Even if you get vaccinated, please, please, please screen yourselves using the pap smear every 3 years at least. Can I get a yes in the chat for this, for all those people who now believe that screening for cervical cancer is important? Yes, sure, doctor. Thank you, Suvarna. Anybody else? All right. So now we have discussed, the leading cause of cancer in Indian women, at least the younger women, which is the other cancer, the most common cancer that at least a lot of aged women suffer from. Anyone? All right. So the answer to this question is breast cancer. And how are we gonna screen for breast cancer is very, very simple. Is by getting a mammography done. A mammography every 1 to 2 years, well, depending on your schedule, the availability of doctors as well. every 1 to 2 years is ideal, and especially for women between 40 to 69 years. Although I would suggest, even post 30, people can start, getting themselves screened, and women of any age. For all of you out there, in the group, I think a monthly self breast awareness, as I would like to call it, is basically if you notice, any new lump in your breast or any kind of change, then immediately please do not hesitate. Visit your GP or your surgeon or any other doctor that you're, seeing, to address this issue and get a mammography done, get a clinical breast examination done, by your doctor. And, like I said, a mammography every 1 to 2 years. Because what a mammography is going to do, what a clinical breast examination is going to do, is it's going to help you detect if there are any changes early on, because breast cancer is very, very much treatable, as we all know, through surgery, through chemotherapy, and radiation as well. Can anybody tell me what are the risk factors for, breast cancer? What are the common risk factors for breast cancer? Anyone? All right. So mainly increasing age. With increasing age, it increases your risk as well. If there is a family history of breast cancer, you're already predisposed to it. Obesity is another problem. Use of alcohol, and if there is a late, menopause, and especially if you become obese after menopause. So these are certain risks or main causes of breast cancer. Yeah. Now, how would you actually prevent it? Is by maintaining a healthy weight, regular exercise, limit your alcohol intake, and most importantly, screen yourselves. Mammography, clinical breast examinations, any kind of lump or changes that you notice early, please do not hesitate. Visit your doctors ASAP. I hope that's clear. Can I get a yes from people in the chat for this? Anybody else, or has everyone already gotten bored because we have come down to the topics of cancer and not food anymore? All right, all right, all right. Perfect. Thank you, Kishore. Thank you, Puram. Thank you, Suvarna. Lovely. Moving on to the third cancer that I would like to address here, and that is colon cancer, or also known as colorectal cancer. Now, in India, colorectal cancer, especially, is the cases, number of cases are rising in cities, especially our metros. And the same can be prevented by screening. Can anyone tell me which is the most common way to screen for a colon cancer? Anyone in the chat? The most common way to screen for a colon cancer?
Also, Dr.
Constipation.
Nitin, I would like to point that if the questions and things can be wrapped by 6, because we have already breached the time. So,
Okay, okay, sure, 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 sure. I'll wrap it up shortly.
yeah.
All right. So constipation, well, constipation is more of a symptom. So yes. All right. So the most common way to screen is colonoscopy. Go ahead. Yeah, I think a colonoscopy, every few years would do wonders. It is the most common way to screen yourself, because not just colorectal cancers, if there are any polyps over there as well, you would immediately know it, and your doctor, your surgeon especially, will know how to address this issue. Now, the main causes and risk factors for colorectal cancer are basically a low fiber diet, a highly red or processed meat, I would say, obesity again, lack of exercise, smoking, alcohol. Again, just like breast cancer, if there's a family history of colon cancer as well. And one of those issues that a lot of people are having increasingly in our country is inflammatory bowel disease, IBD or IBS, as we all know it. Yeah. Now, how do you prevent it? Okay. You need to eat more fruits, vegetables, especially if your entire diet is high in fiber, because low fiber diet is one of the reasons, like I mentioned earlier, for colon cancer. Yeah. You will have to reduce your consumption of red and processed meats. Again, lack of exercise. So make sure that you are physically active. Avoid smoking, limit alcohol. Most importantly, maintain a healthy weight. We are aware that about 3% of people actually, can you suggest any medical remedy for air pollution suffering? Okay, Kishore, are you from Delhi? I'm sorry. All right. Oh, is Bengaluru that bad? I'm sorry, I didn't know Bengaluru was that bad. All right. I'll come to that. I'll come to that. Like I mentioned, lack of physical activity, one of the main reasons. How many of y'all were aware of the fact that one in three adults, that is 1.8 billion people, actually miss WHO's 150-minute activity target. So the 150-minute target over here is, covered over an entire week, yeah, of physical activity like exercises, yoga, whatever you want to do. And it does not just limit you yourself to gym memberships, but also to micro walks, like 15 minutes of walk, during your lunch break, after your lunch break, 15 minutes of walk in the evening. you know if you live on the second or third floor in your apartment, instead of taking the lift, you can take the stairs. You can take the stairs up, you can take the stairs down. These are little changes in your lifestyle that can actually influence your entire overall health, and reduce your risk of not just all the conditions that we covered earlier, but also stress and certain issues like colorectal cancers. Because when you actually add a high fiber diet, it automatically improves your overall mood, your digestion, and your energy levels as well. And the last two things that you need to supplement yourself over here with, I think it's something that I mentioned earlier. Yeah, two main vitamins. One of them, which 90% of Indians are deficient in, is vitamin D. Extremely important. So what I would suggest for all of y'all is to go back and please get yourselves at least a basic checkup. A fasting blood sugar would do, HbA1c would do, a lipid profile would do. Yeah, get your blood pressure checked, get your vitamin levels checked. And then most importantly, all of y'all, please get yourselves screened for all these types of cancers ASAP. And for anybody who needs personalized help, with nutrition or diet or anything of that sort, any kind of consultation, you all can get in touch with your HRs. They also have my number, so you can get in touch with me directly, one on one, for any issues that you all have. If there is nothing else, I would like to address the Q&A now. Yeah. All right. There are about 13 questions here. Is plastic bottle drinking water also one of the reasons for cancer? Yes, Kishore, there have been quite a few studies, regarding plastic bottle drinking water. Also, the non-stick pans. because they have Teflon. Yeah, so there are a lot of studies around that. So yes, in a way, in a way they are. But again, certain studies are conclusive, certain are inconclusive. So yeah, let's just say that it's a gray area to comment on. The number of hours of sleep required, does it varies for male and female? Does it vary based on the age? Yes, it does vary based on the age, but only provided you're, when you're a child and when you're an adult. I think after the age of 15 onwards, I would say that the 7 to 8 hours is very standard for any individual. Because I think for children, when you're 1, 2, 3, 4 years old, the number of hours required is slightly more over there. So, anonymous attendee, I hope I've answered that question. What tests do you recommend at regular intervals for different age range for preventive healthcare? Okay, age range and frequency. Uh, okay, I would say you can get yourselves, a basic full body checkup that would include your sugar, your lipid, your liver health, your kidney health, yeah, and your vitamin profile. I think this you can do if you're in your between 20s and 30s. You can get this done once a year. I think if post 40, I would say get this twice a year. And if you're 40 plus, also get a 2D echo, for your cardiac screening. And yes, like I mentioned, all the cancer screening techniques over here for colorectal cancer, breast cancer, as well as cervical cancer. Mammography, I would say once a year. Colorectal cancer, once in probably 3 to 5 years. And cervical cancer, yes, please get yourself a pap smear done every 3 years. So I hope that answers your question for what kind of tests and intervals I recommend. Hi, nice meeting you. Could you please share your thoughts and opinions on protein powder? Okay. Is it recommended to have some in the morning to meet the protein deficiency? Yes. Yes, Abhishek, absolutely. Protein powder is nothing. I assume you're consuming whey protein. Yeah. Whey protein or plant protein powder, whichever type of protein you're consuming. There is a reason we call it a supplement, because it is something that supplements your protein need. Yeah. So ideally for an individual, even just to maintain their body weight, to maintain their healthy levels, we require 1 gram per kg per body weight. So let's just say they're 70 kgs per day, you need about 70 grams of protein a day. Yeah. So if you're not getting it via food, a protein powder definitely helps. But yes, you do need to be wary of certain brands and labels, because there are a lot of brands out there that are really good, but there are also certain brands over there that use certain chemicals, uh, additive sugars that are not exactly healthy, a lot of fillers in the form of extra amino acids to spike the protein value on the label.
Doctor Nitin, just a reminder we are getting, like, can we just wrap it up?
Yeah,
Yeah, with queries and like some basic questions and wrap it up because the event was supposed to end at 5:30.
okay, 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 sure, sure,
Thank you
sure,
so much.
sure, sure. Okay. How to use ghee as a replacement of refined oil? I think I mentioned this earlier. You know, you cook an omelette, or you cook fish or whatever. If you have to cook certain vegetables, saute vegetables, 10 grams of ghee. 10 grams of ghee would mean ideally roughly, tablespoon of ghee. So you can use that instead of refined oil, and you'll see that you get the job done. No issues there. Give one simple chart or method to use daily to control all these kind of diseases, prevent early. Okay, Varsha, I will do this. Like I mentioned, I'll be handing over a PDF, so I guess I'll make one small PDF for this as well. An example diet. For the diet plan, you can get in touch with the HRs. They'll give you my number, and I'll make you a personalized diet plan if you need one. How to check cortisol? Okay, you have a blood test to check cortisol. Yeah. Will sleeplessness spike cortisol, or cortisol leads to sleeplessness? Yeah, I think, both of them are like a loop, I would say. Sleeplessness obviously, will spike cortisol because you're stressed when you're not sleeping well. And if your cortisol is already high, that will also lead to a lack of sleep because you are not doing anything else to sort that hormone issue there. Yeah. As a vegetarian, why triglycerides are always in the elevated level? Okay. As a vegetarian, your triglycerides are probably elevated because of the oil you have been using. There are probably no healthy proteins in your diet, because healthy proteins are the best way to reduce your triglyceride, not only triglyceride, but your overall lipid profile. I hope that helps. So, all right, there are a ton of questions here, but yeah, I think Vartika, what you can do is, I think all the other people who had questions, I think if it's possible, you can get it all of those. You can get all those questions on a sheet of paper and probably share it with me, and I will mail them back with answers to each and every one on one sheet. I hope that works. Yeah, Vartika, are you there?
Yes, doctor, on behalf of Artika, yes, we'll do that. Like she said that we can, send a bulk mail. So if anyone has
Yeah.
any questions, then, they can go through that and, have some matter to
Absolutely.
refer.
I will get back with answers to, all of y'all. And in any case, anybody requires any kind of personal consultation or a personalized diet plan, please reach out to the HRs. They have my number and you can get in touch with me personally. All right. So that's it for today, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone, from IMT for being so patient for the past 90 minutes with me, and I hope all of you will get to take back something today. A lot of information, a lot of fun facts that you all can use and employ in your daily life. Yeah. So thank you so much. Thank you so much, and have a nice weekend. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Nitin, on behalf of everyone. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.